Dear learners, Namaskar. I am Dr. Chunnu Prasad and the topic of your social science lesson is India, a welfare state. Let me tell you very briefly the objective of this lesson, and the objectives are meaning of a welfare state and how India is a welfare state, factors which led to the inclusion of directive principles of state policy in the Constitution of India, and the importance of directive principles in realizing the objective of a welfare state of India. Distinguish between fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy, and measures taken to implement directive principles to realize the objective of a welfare state. So, these are the broad objective on which we are going to discuss this lesson. Dear learners, we know our country the most, but still there is a lot to be discovered and known. Though through social science we have tried to know about the political system working in our country, we know that our country is the largest democracy of the world, and the government here in India works for the well-being and welfare of the people. Any protection and promotion of economic and social well-being of the citizen is called a welfare state. So, learner, you may ask the question as to what steps have been taken by the state or our government to establish India as a welfare state. A number of steps have been taken and many other can be taken, such as free health checkup in schools, free immunization programs, free maternity service in all the government hospitals, fair price ration shops, various concessions to Divyangs, free and compulsory education are the steps that have been already taken. Now, state has owned the responsibility to help all those who need help. Many steps to help the poor and needy have been taken, such as Antodaya or food for work or many other schemes like these shows that our state India is a welfare state. Now, in social science book on the lesson India a welfare state, an example of two friends Ramakrishnan and Abdul has been given, and the example makes Abdul to feel that just on a phone call ambulance had come on the spot and had taken Ramakrishnan to hospital. Now, he was given free treatment and even his relations were informed by the police. This made Abdul to think about the government and also the reason for not charging anything on account of his treatment. His elder brother and relatives told him that our state is a welfare state, while British government was ruling over India. They were least interested in the welfare or well-being of the people. At that time, the main aim was to exploit the resources of India for their own interest. Now, after independence, India had to face a lot of social economical problems. Social and economic inequalities were evident, and the constitution makers had the intention and will to reduce such inequalities. The constitution makers were very clear that they are to prepare the constitution in such a way that the state of India should come to be known as the welfare state. Now, the directive principles of state policy enshrined in part 4 of the Indian constitution reflects that India is a welfare state. They made two provisions in the constitution of India. One is the chapter on fundamental rights and the other is the chapter on directive principles of state policy. The member of the Constituent Assembly had the knowledge about the available resources and also about the socio-economic needs of the people. So, to raise the self-esteem of the people, some fundamental rights were given to all the citizens, but some other important rights which should have been given, but could not be granted due to scarcity of resources, and such rights got placed in the directive principles of state policy. These directive principles are guidelines and directions for the government. The government must keep these principles in mind while framing laws, programs and policies. Now, the fundamental rights enshrined in the constitution guarantee that all Indians shall enjoy civil liberties, equality and some basic rights: freedom of speech and expression, equality before law, freedom of association and assembly, freedom of religion, culture and educational rights, and the right to constitutional remedies enshrined political freedom and laid the basis of social or for social and economic equality and justice. But these rights were not enough, much more was needed to ensure social and economic justice and development. And to fulfill this need, constitution makers added part 4 on directive principles of state policy. Our constitution makers were well aware of the economic and social conditions and limitations of a new independent country. Now, resources were limited and expectations were high. So, to balance the situation and to give them to the government, our constitution maker gave directive principles as an agenda for the central and state government to work upon. Now, these principles are not justiciable and nobody can claim these as rights, but these are very essential for the good governance and to establish a welfare state. The inspiration to include the directive principles in the constitution was given by the Constitution of Ireland and also by the Gandhian thought and philosophy. Now, the target of directive principles was to create conditions for all the citizens to lead a good life, and these principles are also a yardstick in the hands of the people to measure the performance of the government. Now, the implementation of directive principles being satisfaction for the citizen and is also taken as a good performance of the government. Now, what is the characteristic of the directive principles of state policy? The directive principles of the state policy are guidelines to the central as well as the state government of India, and the governments must keep these principles in mind while framing laws and policies. It is true that the provision of the Constitution of India are non-justiciable, which means that these are not enforceable by any court of law, but the principles are considered fundamental in the governance of the country, and it is the duty of the central as well as state government to apply these principles in making laws to establish a just society in the country. Now, the principles have been inspired by the directive principles stated in the Constitution of Ireland and also by the principles of Gandhian philosophy. The main aim of these principles is to create social and economic conditions under which all the citizens can lead a good life. Now, in other words, it is to establish social and economic democracy in the country, and this principle act as a yardstick in the hands of the people to measure the performance of government in respect of achieving the objective. All executive agencies have to be guided by these principles. Even the judiciary has to keep them in mind while deciding cases. Now, the directive principle of state policy have been listed in the Constitution under article 36 to 51. A new directive was added by 42nd amendment. It speaks about the duty of the state to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. So, learner, you may ask a question as to how many directive principles are there and what has been included in those principles. It is for your information. We find different types of principles, and these principles have been included in the Constitution from article 36 to article 51. If you study these principles, then we can broadly categorize these in 4 specific categories. The first one is principles promoting social and economic equality. Second one is the principle related to Gandhian thought. Third one is the principles related international peace and security, and the last one is miscellaneous principles. Now, it will be better to know about the various principles that come under these categories. First of all, we identify the principles that come under the heading principles promoting social and economic equality, and these principles are: the state should ensure adequate means of livelihood for its people. The state should ensure fair distribution of material resources of the country for the common good. The state should distribute the wealth in such a way that wealth is not concentrated in a few hands. There should be equal pay for equal work. The state should keep or should take steps to impart free and compulsory education to children up to the age of 14 years. The state should try to secure participation of workers in the management of the factory. Children and youth should be protected against exploitation. Men, women and children should not be forced by economic necessity to enter jobs and vocations which are not suited to their age and strength. The state should ensure to the people the right to work, the right to education, the right to state assistance in case of unemployment, old age, sickness and disablement. The state should ensure just the human condition of work for the workers and maternity relief for women. All these principles are to promote social and economic equality. The second category of principle refers to the principle related to Gandhian thought, and it includes the state shall promote the education or educational and economic interest of the weaker section of the society, and in particular the interest of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. The state shall take steps to organize village panchayats. These should be given power and authority to work as a unit of self government. The state shall make efforts to prevent the consumption of alcoholic drinks and other harmful drugs. The state shall try to promote cottage industries in rural areas. The state shall take steps to improve the quality of livestock and ban the slaughter of cow and calves and other milch and draught cattle. After this category, the principle comes the third category and related to international peace and security. What are these category? The state shall promote international peace and security. The state shall endeavor to maintain just and honorable relation with other nations, and the state shall foster respect for international laws and treaty obligations. The state shall encourage settlement of international disputes by arbitration and mutual agreement. The last but most important category is of miscellaneous principle, and these principles are: the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. The state shall take steps for the maintenance and protection of the historical monuments, places or objects of national importance. The state shall aim at establishing a uniform civil code for all citizens throughout the country. The state shall take steps to separate the judiciary from executive. So, learner, these are the four important categories of directive principles of state policy. As we understood that all the directive principles are positive in nature and aim the welfare of the people, or due to this nature of directive principles, India is called a welfare state. A state which takes care of its population, works for the well-being and welfare of the people, and all the organs of the government have the sole target of welfare of the people is called a welfare state. So, dear learners, as we know, the fundamental rights are also meant to establish a welfare state as like directive principles of state policy. Both have the differences between two, and we can identify and count the differences between the two. Firstly, fundamental rights are justiciable, but directive principles of state policy are non-justiciable. It means that if fundamental rights are denied or violated by any organ of the government, then sufferer may knock at the door of the Supreme Court or High Court to get the implementation of those rights which are being refused or denied. Justiciable means that justice can be sought through the court, but the directive principle of state policy are not justiciable. It means that if these principles are not implemented, then we cannot seek their implementation through courts, but at the same time it should be taken care of that these principles are very important and no government can dare to neglect these principles. So, these principles are sure to change the destiny of the people, and these are the guidelines for good and effective governance and also help to establish a welfare state. Secondly, fundamental rights are negative in character, but directive principle state policy are positive in character. What is the meaning of negative in character? It means fundamental rights are the guidelines for the government to not do certain functions which may be against the fundamental rights or which may violate the fundamental rights. These rights stop the government to take some action, whereas directive principle state policies are positive in character and the state should act to implement all of these principles. Implementation of these principles ensure the welfare of the people. So, directive principles may not be justiciable, but are very important for the government to implement. Thirdly, fundamental rights are granted by the constitution, but directive principles of state policy are not granted by or granted, but are just the guidelines for good governance. For example, government has fixed minimum wage for most of the job and these steps ensure that no one shall get below the minimum wage fixed. It is a just and fair step which saves the employees from the exploitation of the employer. Such other steps has been taken and the result are visible in all the fields of the life. It is very important to note that although directive principles of state policy are not justiciable, but even then these cannot be ignored, and fundamental rights and directive principles of state are not contradictory to each other, but complementary to each other. Now, to create public opinion in favor of government, work will have to be done to implement the policy and principles of directive principles of state policy. Many of the directive principles have already been implemented, but the central and state government or by the central or state government. For example, we can count a few of them, such as minimum wage have been fixed in almost all sphere of employment. Equal wage of equal work for both men and women has also been enacted. As such, right to work has not been given, but the scheme like Manrega, Swan Jayanti Rozgar Yojana are steps towards the direction. Panchayati Raj has been given constitutional status after 73rd and 74th amendment. Directive principles of state policy do recommended Panchayati Raj system, but the two amendments act have changed the whole scenario of the local self governments or governance. Now, the urban level have gained the constitutional status, and the constitution of these bodies of the local governance has become mandatory for the state government, and this institution cannot be ignored. The election for these bodies are to be regularly held, and the term for this institution has also been fixed for 5 years. Now, availability of different modes of transport, night shelter for the poor, old age home, special helpline numbers for women and senior citizens, created the various sources of entertainment are a few steps in this direction. Now, the welfare of the people is a continuous process, and same is true for the implementation of directive principles of state policy. The problem of poverty, unemployment, poor health and illiteracy compelling the government to work for its solution, and the solution for this problem is nothing but steps towards the welfare and well-being of the state. New challenges and new problems will provide new opportunity to work for the welfare of the people and to take steps toward the idea of a welfare state. Our India has laid a strong foundation of a welfare state and is continuously working for making it stronger. Right to education has been made a fundamental rights under 86th constitutional amendment. Now, due to this right, every child between the age of 6 to 14 years has the fundamental right to get free and compulsory education. So, previously it was expected from the government to work for their education, but now it has been ensured that no child will be left. Every child will be considered and taken care of. Each child is provided with free books, no fees, free uniforms and all other facilities free of cost to get education for a period of 8 years. It has started to ensure or enhance the literacy ratio and also awaken the poor population to get education. Cottage industry are being promoted by different state governments and tax concessions are being given. Our foreign policy seeks international peace and security. We are against war and are in favor of solving the problem through negotiations. India has always been helping to help the United Nations organization in its peacekeeping initiative. India has provided its army men for the United Nations force for peacekeeping activities. A number of welfare schemes have been started for the poor, downtrodden and the rural people. Even liquor has been banned by a few states such as Bihar, Gujarat, etc. Directive principles of state policy ask the states to make efforts to prevent the consumption of alcoholic drinks and other harmful drugs. Gujarat, Bihar and a few other states have tried to implement these principles effectively and to save the people from ill effect of alcoholic drinks and drugs. So, learners, what do you mean by right to education? Let me tell you something about this. So, for the welfare activity, the right to education is added by introducing a new article 21A in the chapter on fundamental rights in 2002. By the 86th constitutional amendment, it was a long standing demand, so that all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years and their parents can claim compulsory and free education as a fundamental rights. It is a major step forwarding in making the country free of illiteracy. But these additions remained meaningless as it could not be enforced until 2009. When the Parliament passed the Right to Education Act 2009, it is this act which aims at ensuring that every child who is between 6 to 14 years of age and is out of the school in India goes to school and receive quality education, that is his or her right. So, dear learners, at the end we can revise or summarize the important information by saying that, so a welfare state is one in which state plays a key role in the protection and promotion of the economic and social well-being of its citizens. A welfare state is based on the principles of equality of opportunity, equitable distribution of wealth and public responsibility for those who are unable to avail themselves the minimal provision for a good life. Directive principles have been included in the Constitution of India for the socio-economic development of the people, and directive principles are non-justiciable and cannot be enforced by any court of law. But these principles are considered fundamental in the governance of the country, making it a duty of the central and state government to apply these principles in making laws to establish a just, and principles of state policy can be categorized as principle promoting socio-economic equality, principle related to Gandhian thought, principles related to international peace and security, and miscellaneous principles. Directive principles are different from fundamental rights, but both are complementary to each other. The central and the state government have been implementing these directive principles, but much more is needed to be done to realize the goal of a welfare state. Thank you very much.
प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है
शिक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बहुत। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, हम अपना दीप स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने,
घर बैठे पाएं राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय शिक्षा संस्थान यानी NIOS में एडमिशन, वो भी एकदम आसान तरीके से, जिससे शिक्षार्थियों को होगी समय और धन दोनों की बचत। NIOS से शिक्षा कभी भी कहीं भी। शिक्षार्थियों, क्या आप जानते हैं NIOS में एडमिशन लेने का सरल और सुगम तरीका, जिससे शिक्षार्थियों को ऑनलाइन प्रवेश लेने में सहूलियत मिलती है। NIOS में प्रवेश की प्रक्रिया पूर्णतया ऑनलाइन है। शिक्षार्थी घर बैठे इंटरनेट द्वारा प्रवेश के लिए सबसे पहले NIOS की वेबसाइट www.nios.ac.in पर लॉगिन करें। अपना ईमेल आईडी और पासवर्ड डालकर अपना पंजीकरण करें। पंजीकरण के बाद लॉगिन करने पर ऑनलाइन प्रवेश हेतु आवेदन पत्र खुलेगा। आवेदन पत्र को निर्देशानुसार भरें और प्रिंट आउट लें। इस प्रिंट आउट पर अपनी फोटो संलग्न करें। ऑनलाइन प्रवेश के लिए शुल्क हेतु भुगतान के तरीके हैं: क्रेडिट कार्ड के द्वारा, डेबिट कार्ड के द्वारा, राष्ट्रीयकृत बैंक के ड्राफ्ट के माध्यम से, जो कि सचिव NIOS नई दिल्ली या नोएडा के पक्ष में देय हो। भरे हुए आवेदन पत्र के साथ साथ डिमांड ड्राफ्ट और संलग्न किए जाने वाले दस्तावेज हैं: जन्म रजिस्ट्रार के जिला कार्यालय से जारी जन्म प्रमाण पत्र की सत्यापित प्रति, जिसमें जन्म तिथि अंकित हो, पिछले विद्यालय से प्राप्त विद्यालय छोड़ने का प्रमाण पत्र, जिसमें आवेदक की जन्म तिथि लिखी हो। प्रवेश फॉर्म का प्रिंट आउट NIOS के संबद्ध क्षेत्रीय केंद्रों पर 10 दिनों में पहुंच जाना चाहिए, अन्यथा उचित दस्तावेज न लगे होने पर आवेदन फॉर्म रद्द किया जा सकता है। प्रवेश प्रक्रिया की पुष्टि होने के बाद शिक्षार्थियों को परिचय पत्र व अध्ययन सामग्री डाक द्वारा तुरंत पहुंचाई जाती है। ऑनलाइन प्रवेश एक बहुत ही सुगम और सुविधाजनक प्रवेश प्रणाली है। ऑनलाइन ऑन टाइम फॉर सेफ एंड सिक्योर एडमिशन।